Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Playmates toys, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutagen Man, the Pulverizer Goo Mobilized. As seen in TMNT TV show Season 2, we finally get the Mutagen Man in toy form. In packaging, he actually looks pretty good. It also looks like there is an area that you could put the mutagen slime in, so we're going to have some fun with that as well. The side of the package, and really the packaging as a whole, is the same packaging that they've used for previous Turtle toys. On the back, though, on the back of the package, not only do you get several of the new Turtle toys featured down below, like for example Casey Jones, the Kirby Bat, some Mutagen Man now featured there, a Squirrelanoid, also Raza is there as well, which I have not actually seen him yet, but up the top it says mutated from ooze and raised in the ways of Nujitsu by the Rat Sensei Splinter. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are ready to venture outside their sewer lair to fight evil everywhere. The read-up on Mutagen Man says, formerly the Pulverizer, who mutates into a jar of goo, then Mutagen Man, he absorbs any ooze around him for fuel, being mutated from nothing but a tube of guts to an armed and legged jar with acid ooze hands. He searches for April in hopes of finding a friend and fights anything that gets in his way. His acid ooze hands melt anything they touch, so the Turtles fight to keep him away and ooze free in order to find a cure and reverse the mutation. His weapons, ooze-filled body and oozing hands, and his team affiliation is the Krang. Having said that, Spot's going to take himself a break and get this opened up. When we come back, we're going to get a better look at Mutagen Man. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Having a look at the Mutagen Man out of packaging, I gotta say, he looks really good. By a size comparison, we'll get this out of the way first. I'll just bring in Donatello, one of the tallest turtles, or the tallest turtle. This is the battle shell version of Donatello that had the armor, the weapons in his back here. But you can see that he's roughly about the same height, give or take. I mean, when you factor in the top of the canister here, they're roughly about the same size from to one another. Moving him aside, now the Turtles toys obviously will have more articulation. By comparison, the Mutagen Man doesn't seem to have as much articulation, but he has more articulation than I really thought he was going to have. In fact, I thought getting him out of packaging, he was just going to have straight swivel arms. And luckily, I can say that that's not the case at all. While his arms do rotate all the way around, he does also have hinge sockets, hinge joints on the arms too. So the arms do move out, and then he also has the rotation on the individual hands. His legs do go forward and back and out. So really, he does have a good range of articulation. The undersides of his feet are completely open. There's nothing on the undersides, but it looks like there's peg points. So it's a shame that he didn't actually have like a display stand or something along those lines that you could have him displayed quite nicely. The majority of his limbs, all of his limbs really, are a translucent plastic. And again, it's a really nice touch. He's a really fun-looking piece. If anything I could be saying about this figure is that he's a fun-looking figure. Now inside there is what is, I guess, the remains, the organ remains of Mutagen Man. You can take the gimmick, obviously, for the toy. You can take the top canister and pull it out, and there you have the Mutagen Man in all his splendor. Well, maybe not. He's got some eyes, and the rest of him is just organs and remains. Inside, however, there is the empty chasm. Hello? Hello? Inside there's the empty chasm where you can fill him with ooze. By that same regard, you can also take the ooze and you can unscrew his hand here. Unscrew his hand. And you can fill, not a lot, but you can fill some of the ooze in there as well, and it will come out of his hands. I'll show you that in a second, but the ooze will only come out from what I can see, these 4 holes, as all the holes instead in his fingers. Only the 4 holes here will retract the ooze. So as it stands, he's a good looking piece. Now, it just so happens Spot actually has done the review of the colored oozes. I've got the green ooze there, purple ooze there, we've got the yellow ooze there, and lastly, got the orange ooze right there. So we're going to try a couple of different ooze colors and see which ones obviously will look the best with Mutagen Man. However, before we do that, to fill the ooze, you're just going to take the Mutagen Man out. And I'm going to just start with basic green. Now, he is a green colored plastic, so the likelihood of putting green ooze in there and still be able to see the Mutagen Man remains are probably slim to none. But you're just going to take the ooze. I'm doing this on camera so you guys can see. Just going to take a little bit of the ooze and ooze it into the top canister of Mutagen Man. And you might have to ballpark it. You might have to actually just take a little bit at a time. I wish there was like an ooze cutter. Guess you probably just use your fingers. You're just going to put a little bit of ooze in there, just like so. The green actually shows quite brightly. Then you're going to take Mutagen Man. And I guess the thing is, if you put Mutagen Man right at the middle, he's going to get lost. I can see right now, putting the Mutagen Man in, you can't see anything. However, I'm wondering if you take Mutagen Man and put him in on an angle and kind of move away the ooze. Now, see the ooze, the ooze will still kind of fill that area, and before you know it, Mutagen Man will be lost, unless you kind of tip it to the back. Tip it to the back and put it in. Yeah, you can see Mutagen Man somewhat, but it's just a matter of time. Like if you tip it forward, maybe the slime will eventually fill him in, and before you know it, Mutagen Man will be lost. But you know what? As it goes, the green really shows well, despite the fact that this is a green plastic. Mutagen Man with the orange ooze, it's a little darker in color, likely because it is an orange ooze, and putting Mutagen Man inside, he shows a little bit better, likely because of his coloring, and again, depending on how much ooze you put in, you could still see him. The orange is not too much of a dark color, but eventually though, it may fill him in, and before you know it, you might not see much of Mutagen Man after that. The darker purple color ooze obviously shows it's a little more murkier with the green plastic dome. Taking the Mutagen Man though, putting him into the ooze. Yeah, you're not gonna see him very well at all, unless again you can kind of tip him forward. He shows up a little bit in the purple, but the purple might be a little bit too dark for Mutagen Man. And lastly, taking the yellow ooze. To be expected, it shows probably the best in the canister. And then taking the remains of Mutagen Man, certainly will vary, but if you have a little bit less ooze in there, he might show a little bit better. It shows a lot better, though, with the green plastic. Best bet with Mutagen Man is to fill the canister with just regular water. The benefit of being just clear water is by taking the organs of Mutagen Man and putting them in the top, you can still see him through the dome here, and with the water, it gives you still the idea that he's sitting inside of a ooze liquid. So that's probably the best way that I would have him displayed. It's great to have him actually filled with ooze, but for your best bet, water definitely is the way you want to be going. Or Mutagen Man's hand, you're just going to pop the hand off here, and you're not going to really need to put very much in here at all. In fact, it doesn't really hold much at all. You're just going to I'm taking the green ooze, and you're just going to grab just a small amount. Again, you won't be able to put very much in there at all, but you're just going to put the slime into his hand, just something that looks like this. Then taking the hand and putting it onto the wrist, like so, and just applying a little bit of pressure, you can already see how it's starting to ooze out of Mutagen Man's hand. Does it work very well? Not really. I mean, the ooze does come out, but you know, you can't put too much in there. You'll get probably something that looks like this. Enough to probably for the sake of playing with it, but again, it's not gonna. I wish, if anything, the ooze could have filled more up here, and you could have had like a button or something that would have had a more steady flow of slime coming out, because really that's the best you're going to get with the hand. Of course, we've already had a look at the articulation, so we really don't even have to cover that. However, the one thing I really left off for articulation, because the canister sits in like where you have to lock it into place, you can really turn his head left and right as well. Again, it's only because it's sitting inside this inner ring, but being able to look left and right, you can do that as well with Mutagen Man. Overall, it's just a fun piece. It's a fun toy. I thought he was going to be a little more limited in his articulation, and I'm happy to see that he's not. He doesn't have, of course, knee articulation. He doesn't have elbow articulation, but he still has articulation where you need it to be, you know, with the arms, with the hands, and certainly as well with the legs. You can get some good poses out of the Mutagen Man. I think of the villain figures have suffered a little more than what we got with the original Turtle figures. Mutagen Man might be one of my favorite pieces. He's, again, just a really fun, designed-looking character. For that reason, I'm going to give Mutagen Man, I'm going to give him a 7.5. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the Playmates Toys Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the Mutagen Man. Stay tuned, guys. The Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. Thanks for watching, as you always do. See you guys next time.